In my opinion, in my humble opinion, the black culture has devolved into a culture of hyenas. And when I say hyena culture, I mean that when you look at black culture and the black community in the realm of the culture war, or the what they're calling it, or just the racial landscape as it is, when you look at other races, when you look at other continents, American black culture can only be described as hyenas. They're the hyenas of the wild, of the they're the hyenas of humanity. And what does that mean? Well, what do you think of when you think of a hyena? Okay, you think of their rivalry with lions, who are known as the kings of the jungle. You think of the fact that they eat anything. You think of the obnoxious noises that they make. You think of just them just being agents of chaos in the animal kingdom. And I just ask, like, how does that not describe what the modern black community is evolving into, or has evolved into? I always like to use the example of whenever you see those videos of those of those young black women going to brunch, sometimes middle-aged black women going to brunch, and then they getting drunk and acting a fool. When once upon a time, correct me if I'm wrong, I used to think that brunch was like, like a classy affair. You know what I mean? Regular people didn't just go to brunch. You know what I mean? You went to brunch like on like on a classy type of time. Nowadays, they get drunk and then they stand on the table and twerk, or they stand on the chairs and twerk. I'll never forget. I saw the video that one time of that guy that everybody was mad at because he kicked those girls out to his restaurant because they kept standing on his pews. Yeah, they kept standing on his boots and twerking. He told them to get the French toast out. Remember that? Yeah. Or just think about any time there's a crowd of maybe more than 20 to 30 young black people in a crowd. Don't let it be 50 to 100 young black people in a crowd in one condensed area, and there's no white enemy to speak of. There's gonna end up being you know that there's gonna end up being a brawl. You know it is. And I'm not saying that other cultures and other races and ethnicities don't also have to get into conflicts when they get drunk. Yeah, that's human nature. But I'm saying that it doesn't matter when. It's like going to a black gathering is like going to get unalived sometimes. You wouldn't describe that as chaotic? I sure would. Agents of chaos. And that's the truth of the matter. And it's not just the good kind of chaos where it's just where it's just they're fighting for a greater good. No, it's a bad kind of chaos. Like, oh my God, like this is what we're turning into. And that's why whenever you really sit down and have conversations with people, and they're actually open to the idea of alternate thought, even even people that are so invested in black culture, if you're reasonable with them, then guess what? Like, if you just talk to them, most of the time, you actually end up getting them to realize that you can't make excuses for the culture. And that's all most people do. That's why you see most people's arguments against it is that, oh, well, there's racism and there's slavery and it's victimhood. It's victimhood. But that's not the only reason why black culture is what I would describe as a hyena culture. What else do you think of when you think of hyenas? You think of a matriarchy, right? And a strict matriarchy too. I mean, like a strict matriarchy. The women are bigger and stronger than the men. In black culture, the women are bigger than the men, figuratively speaking. You know, they love to throw that whole, Kevin Samuels used to have that, I'm a PhD. You know what I mean? They love to throw that I'm the most educated, that they're the most educated, that they're making the most money, which is not true. Number one, it's not true. Women still make a couple thousand less than men, which ain't much. Black men, just saying. On paper, we don't make a lot of money. Just saying, it don't take a lot to be average. But it's a matriarchy. And when you look at the hyenas, you normally see that the men are at the bottom of the pecking order. Opposite of lions. the men are at the bottom of the pecking order. To the point where they get abused by the females. They're abusive. They're abusive. Now, I understand there's virtue signalers that don't understand what some guys go through. And you know what? It might not be for you to understand. But there's some guys out there that understand what I'm talking about right now. And because sometimes it can appear that unless you're the ideal black man, black women hate you. And I'm just being real. The disdain is felt. I think that when you line up, you know what I mean? When you line it up. Last example. Last example. Think about it. Blacks are always talking about how they're kings and queens, right? Kings and queens. So you would think that they would act more like lions, right? But yet and still, they're constantly they're constantly playing victim and living a victim mentality, subservient to another group. The group don't even have more power than you, but you believe they do, figuratively. Figuratively. Figuratively, you have made white people your lion. Oh, yeah, we can jump and kill something. Oh, yeah, we can jump and unalive some of them. You know what I mean? We can do that. We can give them some trouble. We might be able to steal some food. We might be able to do something. But then when the big boy comes, then it's bad news. Make that make sense for me. Make that make sense for me. Because at the end of the day, At the end of the day, in 2024, white people don't have any more power than you except for the fact that they have economic strength behind them. And that economic strength is not out of reach. It may be out of reach in your lifetime, but if you make certain choices and decisions, guess what? Your grandkids, your kids, you know what I mean, their kids, like your grandkids' kids, they maybe can reap the benefits of your hard work. Maybe. I'm just saying. In 2024, you don't have the same excuses. You don't have the same excuses. You don't have the same right to play victim. You're not going through half as much as the people who fought and did things that, you know what I mean? The thing that this Black History Month is supposed to be celebrating and remembering, you don't even have enough gall to take to come out of your victimhood and actually appreciate what the people that came before you actually went through in order to do for you. But then you have the nerve to sit up and talk about me and tell me that I hate the culture because I'm calling out the trash for the trash. So yes, I think that the culture needs to be eliminated and something new needs to come from the ground up. Because guess what? It's going to implode on itself anyway. So it's either we do it or y'all can go down with the ship. There is no middle ground in this case. I'm JayyRedd Unfiltered, and I'm signing up.